you, go get you $1 or something, dollar or something. Get you $1 or something, something. Why you be all on my line about nothing? Why won't you go get you $1 or something, dollar or something? Get you $1 or something, something. Why you be all on my line about nothing? Why won't you go get you $1 or something, dollar or something?
What's going on, Reef Builders? I am Jake Adams, and I'm bringing to you a short video full of some uniquely presented eye candy today. So several weeks ago, I traveled to Florida for, among other things, the grand opening of the Worldwide Corals flagship Reef Aquarium Superstore. If you haven't seen that video, it's a winner. It's a keeper. So you definitely want to go back and watch that one. And I hope that all of the, I guess more of the DIYers here in the audience will take a peek at the last video I put out, which was my modified self-cleaning bandsaw hack, because I'm really proud of it and I think it's pretty cool. But while I was in Florida, I went to ACI, and this is a wholesaler / aquaculture facility licensed in Florida, run by Chris Meckley, his team, and his family. And he's got a really nice collection of corals and a really unique taste in corals. So I've got just about, I think, let's just call it a dozen different little video clips I want to show you guys. We're going to kick it off with just a stunning video of a Homophyllia bowerbanki that he got from Australia. This is a red specimen, kind of burgundy with little blue splotches, and then there's like this undecided, undetermined yellow-orange mouth to every coralite. Oh man. So the other thing is, these wild colonies, they have deep valleys, deep grooves. So when this thing opens up completely, it kind of obscures the polyps and the coralites. But through propagation, generally the bowerbankis, or the bankies for short, bowers if you're in Australia, they'll flatten out a little bit. So the polyps are still big, but when they puff up, they don't kind of close up each coralite. So this is a coral I actually love seeing, the original colony and seeing how it looks now before any kind of juicing in aquarium conditions, before it gets chopped up. But this is going to make for some fantastic broodstock down the line. So with that out of the way, that's a great way to start off the video, right? That is the only LPS in the entire video, because the rest is pretty much all SPS. Actually, it's all Acroporas, one anacro at the end, all Acroporas under, basically balanced white metal halide. This is a coral we actually wrote about today, Acropora Lokani, just one of my absolute all-time, hands down favorite. If there was one coral, if I had to keep one coral and it was Acropora Lokani for like the rest of my life, I would be really happy with it. This coral very often has like a deep purple coloration with bright green polyps, and it's kind of a deep water style Acropora. And there's a 20,000 leagues and a 30,000 leagues. I think one of them's a little skinnier, and sometimes they're a little bit more pink, but something about Lokani is just, Vincent will agree with me that this is Vincent Chalias of Indonesia, the coral farmer extraordinary. He will, actually, a lot of coral aficionados will agree with me that this is a banging acro. Whether you put it under blue light, whether you put it under white light, just as long as it's not like super intense direct light. Otherwise, that Lokani is just super stunner. All right, so this is something you don't get to see very often. This is some grown out Acropora echinata, the ice fire variety from Australia, with really kind of a classic bottle brush shape. If I had to describe a bottle brush acro to somebody, it would be the Australian ice fire echinata. It's almost always kind of a light white with kind of a blue branch tips, really stunner. And so I actually stacked a few videos right after this one of tenuis, because certain species of tenuis, first of all, the coral taxonomist will tell you that Acropora tenuis is almost like just kind of a catch-all, like a kitchen sink, where several different types of acros are being called tenuis. And as you know, there's kind of a wide range of tenuis, both in color and in growth form. But this is kind of one of the more classic, what I would call Pacific Ocean tenuis. So kind of real nice, classic, light teal inside to a royal blue on the tips, and really well expressed polyps. So I actually don't know if this is the same strain, but this was another chunk that Chris had. And this is all like in his personal collection grow out. Just, oh man, corals like that never get old. And the thing is, like, these are actually common. The ice fire echinatas and any kind of these light blue, teal, royal blue tenuis, they're really common, even as colonies. Now, a little bit more special is this really densely branching tenuis that actually has a green interior. This is a coral that you would actually see on the reef all the time. It grows, this is a little bit different looking from what you would see it in the wild, but he's got it under, you know, right under some metal halides. And hold on, before you guys ask, let's see, I think it was just like a bank of 250 watt metal halide flanked by some T5s on both sides, and no LEDs at all. And this is with a metal halide on. Just really, really nice specimen. So this one right here, I believe this is the Worldwide Corals yellow tip austera. First of all, if you're looking for hardy, easy to grow, and just really colorful yet also forgiving coral, the Worldwide Corals yellow tip austera is a winner. That coral, under a lot of different conditions, it's going to grow fast. It's going to keep growing even when your levels are out of whack. The demonstration, or like the expression of that bright yellow tip, is going to vary a little bit, but it's always going to be there. So look it up. And the reason I want to show you that one is because this is another one that like kind of looks like an Acropora austera, but it also kind of looks like a closely related Acropora gomezi or gomezi. And you can see that the axial tips are a lot closer together. So if I saw this coral, I would argue with someone that this was the Worldwide Corals yellow tip, green tip austera. But when you see them both together in the same system, growing in the same conditions, you're like, all right, well, clearly those are two different corals. So this is one of the things, like, don't always get hung up on coral names, except for corals that have been around for a long time. And there's a big body of collective experience where we can come together and say, oh, this coral really behaves this way. That's the only time that coral strain names really are truly helpful, besides helping coral sellers make a lot of money. All right, so here's a really interesting one. This is a real classic throwback, Acropora abrohlosensis. This is from the west coast of Australia. This got a big fat, what I call like a pencil eraser tip to each branch. So that's one of the defining characteristics of the abrohlosensis. And it has really just absolutely like almost weirdly very, 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 very shaggy polyps. I don't think very few corals can outshag an abrohlosensis except for Acropora millipora. So abrohlosensis, also a very fast growing staghorn species. Let's see. All right, so this was a really, really neat coral. I think this was some kind of table acro, and Chris explained to me that this coral basically encrusted that entire tile, and they got really sick and tired of it just being like a flat tile of just living acro. So he took, I don't know, a screwdriver or a knife or something, and he said they just stabbed it and scratched it and stabbed it and scratched it, basically literally trying to injure the coral so that when it rehealed, it would develop all these axial tips, as you see here. I think he might have done a little bit too much, because now he's just got a field of axial tips. So it'll be really interesting to see how this coral develops down the road. But if you have an acro that is just a field of incrustation, you might consider, just stabbing it a couple places, maybe take a Phillips and just, scratch a couple places and let it, kind of heal back, and maybe it will stimulate this axial tip development. That is a pro tip. Do not do that unless you're completely confident in what it is I'm talking about. Otherwise, just leave your corals alone. But yeah, this coral is really, really neat. Looking forward to see how it's going to grow out. Now here's a coral that's been around the block a bit, and another one that deserves its strain name after a long time. This is the Pro Corals Rainbow, the PC Rainbow coral. Like, this is one of those corals, like, just about any time you can see it from across, you're gonna be like, oh, that's a PC Rainbow acro for sure. A lot of times you only see them like this, but that is a dependable grower no matter what. All right, here we have, I believe these were Acropora hoeksemai. I can't remember if they were Indo or Australian, but you can see what he did there. I think pretty much just like cut branches in half and then glued those down. And now he's just got like this huge broodstock tile of tissue that's just ready to erupt in a bunch of coralites. So this is like a really cool way to make a lot of frags of a coral pretty quickly. All right, here's another one. This is the pink Cadillac. I'm a little bit mixed on the pink Cadillac acro. What did we say that one? Doesn't matter the species name, but the pink Cadillac acro, just let me describe it up close. Up close, it's kind of got a rosy coloration. It has very nice kind of deep blue polyps, then a light colored, almost mint colored tip. And when you see a frag of it this big encrusted and there's just a tiny couple tips on a frag, it looks amazing. But from across the room, or even like a few feet away, unless you're this close or have macro photograph action, to me it's just, mauve. It's just a mauve, burgundy looking coral. Again, if you have a nano tank and you buy corals for the pictures, the pink Cadillac is a really interesting one. It's a dependable grower. It's got a cool shape, a lot of different features and textures going on. But yeah, it's a nice coral, but like it's not going to stand out, in a full-blown SPS reef aquarium. This coral right here just blew my mind. Just absolutely blew my mind. Chris is calling this the pink panther acro. Now, it's not that blue. The base is not that blue. It's kind of grayish. I think that's an artifact of the video. But the polyps are ridiculously deep pink. I'm always trying to think of the exact right color. Not exactly fuchsia, but it's like a real reddish pink in white light, y'all. You don't need orange glasses, yellow glasses, blue light to make that red pop. In fact, I think it looks better under broad spectrum daylight. This coral is really what actually prompted this entire video clip for me to put together for you guys, because this coral is just beautiful shape, probably a microclados species, some kind of corimbose or pillow-shaped Acropora colony. And the thing is, like, Chris was selling frags of this thing for normal prices. It should retail for under $100. And yeah, again, if you get them through the right channels, you'll pay a fair price. So yeah, the pink panther like really prompted me to do this video because it just looked so screaming colorful in white light that it really will take your breath away. And the funny thing is, the frag is a little bit the opposite. The frag is like literally kind of gray, but then the polyps come out and they're copious, they're long, and they're just like really, really reddish pink. Just a really, really beautiful coral. And then just to cap it off, there's a really neat Anacropora, a green Anacropora. I thought it was a slime ball Anacro, but he said he got this himself from a supplier in the wild, probably Indonesian as much as he had. He didn't have that much, but he had enough. But neon green, while still retaining that classic Anacropora shape. The slime ball Anacro really can vary a lot depending on the conditions, but it was kind of cool just to see kind of like an offshoot of a green Anacropora. So let me know, which one of these corals was your favorite? On a day-to-day basis, that Lokani acro is always just super high up there for me, but that pink panther, man, I tell you what, it was like an Ore red planet, but in its own shape with its own color. So let me know which one you liked the most in the comments down below. Big thanks to ACI Aquaculture for letting me snoop around their broodstock aquariums. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, hit that like button, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to click that notification bell. I hope you guys enjoy this format where I just kind of show off some little video clips to you. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later, guys.